as well, so you can see who's in here. You've gone sideways, you So Susie is here as well. Would people like to perhaps put their videos on so that we can see people? Would be nice. Yeah, so I'm going to get all these names wrong, Jack. You're better at pronouncing and remembering names.
You can keep going.
Perhaps if people would like to turn their videos on so that we can make the cameras on so that we could actually sort of see people, because that's nice. So I stop sharing and we'll have so we can see who we've got here.
Halo Bapak Ibu, semoga sehat-sehat ya. Selamat datang. So ini Jack and Mary will be guide us for the living educational theory. And then probably Alin, Mary and Jack, should we start?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, good. Alin, probably you can start and then you can give to Pak Manggara. Okay, thank you everyone.
Right. So good afternoon to our distinguished participants and a pleasant morning to our wonderful speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to welcome you here this morning in this afternoon for Jakarta time and morning for the UK time to the Living Educational Theory Workshop as a serious agenda of the workshop and paper writing coaching organized by the Transformative Education Research Group Indonesia. And I am Alin Maria, who will be the host for our today's workshop. And on behalf of the organizing committee, we extend our appreciation for your presence today. We will have several agendas for the following 1.5 hours, started by the opening and introduction to the Transformative Education Research Group Indonesia and the activities description. Next is our core agenda, which is the sharing session from the Professor Jack Whitehead and Mary Huxtable, Ph.D., followed with the discussion, and the last we have the closing. So without any further ado, I invite Pak Manggara Simanjorang, Ph.D., as one of the initiator of Transformative Education Research Group Indonesia, to give the introduction of the group and activities description of our workshop today. So to Pak Manggara, I pass the mic to you.
Thank you, Mbak Alin. I'll start to share my screen at this moment. Can you see the screen, Mbak Alin?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. In this afternoon, we have a workshop, writing workshop, especially about the living educational theory. At this moment, I will try to give a short description about what we are doing at this afternoon and what we will be doing later after this event. So our group, Transformative Education Research Group, has been established for some time already, and we are doing some activity recently, and this is one of those activities. So we are thinking about doing some continuous workshop that will help participants to develop reflective writing in transformative education research. So we found that the idea of transformative research, transformative writing is not that very well known yet in our place in Indonesia. So that's why we want to share this idea with more people through this kind of activity. So the paper writing in transformative education research aims to personal growth of the writers and also the readers, and about developing the critical thinking and self-discovery in education community. So this activity actually is not the end for itself, but we are preparing for another bigger activity next year, which is international conference. We call it Transformative Educational Research and Sustainable Development in 2024. So actually, the transformative education research is part of a larger community, which is called International Transformative Educational Research Network. And this larger group doing an international conference each year, annual conference. So in preparing for that, we provide this kind of activity. So this is our timeline actually for the preparation for, to that conference. We have done the first seminar with Professor Peter Taylor, who talk about critical autoethnography in that event. And now we are going to do the discussion about living educational theory, which will be guided by Professor Jack Whitehead and Mary. And then after these two seminar, we would like to invite all the participants who are interested in this kind of paper writing, in this kind of transformative idea, to submit your writing. And then we will discuss, we will provide a coaching session for the participants who are interested, so we can further revise, improve our ability to write in transformative way. And then we will then select some paper that that may join us. I would like to say join us next year in the international conference. So this is the first seminar that we have done with Professor Peter Taylor, and now we have the honor to discuss with Professor Jack Whitehead and Mary Huxtable. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. So they are from University of Cumbria, United Kingdom. Mary herself is a visiting research fellow and also educational psychologist in English Local Authority. You can find more information about them through this address, through this link. And this is a bit about our group, Transformative Education Research Group Indonesia, TERG Indonesia. Okay, as I mentioned before, we are part of, or we are a member of International Transformative Education Research Network. So far, we have this kind of program provided, kind of transformative education research that we do individually or jointly together. Also publication, we have some publication already. Some conferences have been done, regular meeting between the member, and also seminar series just like this one. Okay, these are the initiator for this group. So we have Professor Yuli Rahmawati from Universitas Negeri Jakarta, Mbak Neni Mariana from Universitas Negeri Surabaya, myself from Universitas Negeri Medan, and Dr. Susi Fitri from Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Apart from us, we have also some other people who are interested in the idea of transformative education and research from these two universities, Universitas Negeri Jakarta, UNESA, and UNIMED. So we have discussing so far about the idea of transformative education within this small group, and we want to disseminate the idea to a broader community. So as I mentioned before, this activity is part of preparation for the fourth International Conference in Transformative Educational Research and Sustainable Development in October 2024. the first 3 conferences before was held in Nepal, in Kathmandu University. So these are the members of the International Transformative Education Research Network in the previous conference in Nepal. So our activities, actually, we start with these 2 seminars with keynote speakers, and then we will continue with coaching in writing the paper. And then from that activities, we'll continue to select some papers and ask the writer. So it actually voluntary in nature. So it is up to the participant if they want to attend the international seminar, I mean conference next year or not. So, but the main point here are we are trying to disseminate the idea and help people who are interested in writing the paper in this way. Okay. And then the end point for this activity is for the international conference itself next year. So for paper writing coaching, we are focusing on some aspects such as the research paradigm supposed to be from interpretivism, criticalism, and postmodernism paradigm, also including the multi-paradigmatic way. And then, since we are having this kind of paradigm, the most suitable methodology is the qualitative or autoethnography or kind of methodology close to that, that too, qualitative and autoethnography methodology. And the focus that we choose for this preparation for the conference next year is to reflect and transform. Actually, this focus are derived from the paradigm itself. Reflection comes from interpretivism, and transformation comes from critical theory. So all this aspect comes from the same idea, the way we see the world itself. The theme for the writing is may be coming from the religion, local wisdom, professional identity, multicultural, reflective teaching, and so on. So these are the point that we are going to see from the writing idea that you will submit to us later to the coaching activity later after this seminar. Okay. So now we are talking about living theory. I'm not going to explain more about this. I will leave it later for our keynote speakers. So the aim is how we can create meaning, making meaning from this meeting this afternoon, how we may reflect on that and develop a transformation within ourselves. So it's not only about listening to the idea, but internalizing, absorb the idea to ourselves and then continue to creatively create a way for the transformation to be able to be realized in our individual life or our professional life. So here are some example of our publication from our group in collaboration with ITERN, International Transformative Educational Research Network. So we have already 2 books published at this moment. The first one is Research as Transformative Learning for Sustainable Futures, and the second one is Transformative STEAM Education for Sustainable Development. You can see inside there are some chapters captured in this slide. So we always have an interesting way to promote the idea. So maybe you can find that it's not like the traditional way we have in our scientific writing. Yeah. This is another one from the second book. This is one of the article. Actually, it's my writing myself. It's titled "Learning to Teach from the Student's Point of View." So it's an ethical call from transformative learning. So in this writing, I want to express that as a teacher, we need to see how the students see things. So we are not only expressing what we can see, but also want to learn, want to understand what the students see when we are in the process of learning. So another writing, this is Professor Yuli's paper, okay? Reflective Practice, International and Multidisciplinary Perspective. And this is another writing, Multi-Paradigmatic Research, Critical Autoethnography. You can find these papers actually online, or you can contact us if you want to read further about this writing. This is another book, okay, Belajar Empati, yeah. And then that's it, I think, a short description about our group and what we are doing right now and the plan for the next year for the international conference. So thank you very much for your attention, Mbak Alin. Back to you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Pak Mangara. And we will proceed to our core agenda, which is the setting session from the Professor Jack Whitehead and Mary Huxtable, Ph.D. about the living educational theory. But before that, let me read a short biography of our wonderful speakers. First one, Professor Jack Whitehead is a visiting professor at the University of Cumbria, United Kingdom. He is a former president of the British Educational Research Association and distinguished scholar in residence at Westminster College. He is a visiting professor also at Ningxia University in China and an extraordinary professor of community-based educational research at Northwest University, South Africa. And he is a member of the editorial board of the Educational Journal of Living Theories. Since 1973, his research program has focused on the creation of the living educational theories that individuals use to explain their educational influences in their own learning and in learning of others, and also in the learning of the social formation in which we live and work. And he curates a website at actionresearch.net, from which many of his writings from 1967 to 2023 can be accessed. And the next speaker is Mary Huxtable, Ph.D. Mary Huxtable practiced as an educational psychologist in English local authorities, and 4 years of her career, she developed and implemented an inclusive educational policy to improve educational experiences for school children and educators. This included learning to develop aspirations and the confidence and competencies to realize them and contribute to and benefit from their own learning and other people. And she researched her practice as her doctoral research, and in 2012 successfully submitted her thesis about how do I evolve a living educational theory praxis in living boundaries. And then Mary continues to support and spread knowledge, understanding, and practice of living educational theory research in various local, national, and international contexts. And she is currently a visiting research fellow with the University of Cumbria and leading the editor of the Educational Journal of Living Theories and involved with a number of international research groups. So without linger any longer again, please help me welcome Professor Jack Whitehead and Mary Huxtable, please.
Okay. Marie, can you put the poster up, please? Okay, it's such a pleasure, to be here today and just to be able to connect with so many of you with the aim of developing what we've been working on now for years, which is to take the values of what we call human flourishing, the values that are motivating most of you to actually live loving and productive lives in education, and to bring the knowledge that you have and are evolving literally into a global knowledge base. And I just want to focus on something which I do think may be a little different to what you've been used to. And it's actually in the top there of the flyer for this workshop. Now, can you see where it says, Living Educational Theory Research places the individual at the center of the research process, encouraging them to reflect on their own practices and develop ways to improve what they are doing personally in meaningful ways. Now, this is rather different to something which might, at the moment, ground quite a lot of the transformative education research network. Because I followed Peter's work for years, Peter Taylor, because he was for some years in Bath with me. So when he went to Australia, I was really fascinated by what Peter did. And now he's been very active in the International Transformative Education Research Network. Now, Peter was very influenced by critical theory, and I still am myself. But what we want to add to that in a transformative way is to actually encourage you to place your own eye with your questions. How do I improve what I am doing, so that you can research that through your reflective writing, but also produce an evidence and values-based explanation of your influence in your own learning and the learning of others. So that is the focus for this workshop. Now, I'll just ask Marie in a moment just to introduce herself, but if we could just go down, Marie, to the second part of the flyer, because this is what we're actually going to be focusing on, hopefully over the next 12 months of conversations with you and coaching sessions. And we're working on, excuse me, your writing, which is evidence-based. So it's going to be your research in terms of your own practice, linked in with the Transformative Education Research Network. So it's to produce this well-executed manuscript, which potentially could be presented at the international conference, the fourth one on transformative education research. And that is what we're actually, in terms of our practice and improving our practice, to try to see if we can actually support the organizers and the leaders of these processes to actually mentor other participants in producing these systematic and disciplined explanations of the educational influence. Now, Marie, I'm just going to pause there, Marie, before we invite pairs to go into their groups to actually talk about the values that they hold and what it is that they might want to focus on in improving their practice. Marie, anything?
No, I think the main thing is if you get lost, then periodically, if you'd like to keep a note for later, that most of the work you can find is on actionresearch.net. You should be able to see this here, having shared my screen. And that's Jack's website. So many of the things that we refer to will be on here. And we'll also come to the other
that's not coming up, Marie. Yeah, that's not coming up at the moment. Can you close down the... I've got the flyer. Wait a minute.
Flyer on my screen, on the screen, you should see your website.
No, it's coming up still with the flyer, so I don't know.
That's strange. Sorry, let me close this down. You have to bear with us with the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Share
Okay.
again. Share. So can you see this now?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could make a note that you find, I think you need to find afterwards on actionresearch.net. It's unfortunately named because it's actually about living educational theory research. There's a history to that. You can also find a link to the Educational Journal of Living Theories, which is ejolts.net. And again, you'll find a lot of work there, and also their call for papers, because one of the things that I think you wanted to aspire to was both to make a presentation at the conference next year, and also then go on to publish papers in various journals. So this is one journal that we'll come back to that you might find interesting to look at. Okay, Jack, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, thanks. Well, we're going to come back to this to focus on what we call living posters, and also the idea that you can actually generate your own explanation of your educational influences in learning. Now, just at the moment, like you, I've been very influenced by critical theory. And in terms of now transforming my own educational practice, I want to actually focus on the importance of you placing your own eye at the heart of your research as you ask, how do I improve what I am doing? It's linked to your values. How do you live more fully the values of human flourishing that really do motivate you in doing what you do? So what we want to do now is to highlight the importance of conversations together where you focus on sharing what it is that you're actually doing in your professional life and practice. And this is why the first thing we're going to encouraging you to do is to generate what we call your living posters, to share with us, that we will show you the homepage from living posters all over the world of groups like yourself that are actually sharing their own contexts, what it is they're wanting to improve, and generating their own living posters. Okay, now, this is actually the living poster that we're actually going to come back to and actually show you how you can generate an Indonesian transformative education research homepage of living posters where you're actually sharing what it is you are doing in your own contexts and not being worried at all about placing your eye at the heart of your inquiry, because at the moment, critical theory informs your political understandings, whereas we are actually concerned now to transform the notion of educational research so that you're actually placing your eye, and it is an ethnographic study, it actually draws on phenomenology and ethnography and critical theory in terms of you creating now and sharing your explanation of your educational influence. And we'll come back to that. But before we actually focus on these two things, one is getting your own homepage of living posters, and then helping you through the coaching process to create your own living educational theories. We want you to actually share in conversation. It's just 5 minutes each, it's in pairs, so you'll be put into the breakout rooms. And what we want you to do now is just to have a conversation, but allow 5 minutes each, so that you both get the time to reflect and share the professional context that you're researching in and you're actually improving your practice. So by the 10 minutes are up, you've got some idea of the values that motivate your partner to continue to do what they are doing, because the values are used as the explanations, the explanatory principles in a living educational theory. So what we are now going to do, if that's clear, and I'll just come back to Marie to say, is it clear? We'll just, I think it's Helen that might be moving people into the pairs so that you can now spend, as I say, it's 10 minutes and it's just 5 minutes each. So it's making sure that you switch after 5 minutes and you make sure that you've understood the values of your partner and the context in which they're working to improve their practice. Now, these are not fixed. They will evolve over time as we engage in a coaching process to actually help you to generate your own living theory. And if you wish to present at turn in 2024, then by then, in 12 months' time, we should have a paper with you that could be submitted to a journal. Marie, is there anything before we ask Alan to put people into the groups?
Yeah. If you've got any questions, issues, thoughts, please put them in the chat. Okay? Because if we can't pick them up at the moment, we'll pick them up later, and it will help us to know what it is that you'd like to have us address. Because I see that we've got 94 people in this session, so it's very difficult for us to actually hold you all in mind as we're working with you. So can I just check with you? Please put it into the chat or unmute quickly and say, don't know what it is that you're saying. So Citra, you have to forgive me if I mispronounce this.
Yes, it's okay. Are we going to be supervised? I mean, during the discussions later?
No, when you're in the breakout, really good question. Really pleased you asked. We take for granted a lot of things. In the breakout rooms, there'll be 2 of you. It won't be recorded, I don't think, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. It won't be recorded. So this is personal, so you don't have to worry that this is going beyond the 2 of you, okay? And you must agree with your partner that you're talking with about issues of confidentiality. Yes, we've got a way of saying there's particular rules that what's in the room stays in the room. So if you want to sort of feel free, that you feel comfortable to be actually, and what you're talking about is your professional self. It's not private stuff. It's actually the person. Okay. So no, it won't be supervised. It is supervised by you and whoever else is in that room for that 10 minutes. Thanks ever so much for bringing that up. I didn't think of that. Is there anybody else who's got any concerns, questions about what you're doing?
Mary, I posed 2 questions on the chat box. Is it what Jack asked for the participant to discuss?
Right, so thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to have such problems with names. I'm really sorry.
No worries.
To us, so please forgive me if I get this wrong. What's the context in which I want to improve my practice? Yeah, excellent. That's many thanks for saying that. Yes, absolutely. And what values do I have that pushes me to continue to do what I'm doing now? Yeah, there's a really good, really helpful. Any other thoughts or reflections from people? You can see it's really helpful if what you take for granted that everybody else is thinking, some of us don't know. So please don't feel hesitant about just sharing. Okay, there's another message here. Can you explain to us how to make ourselves become more comfortable to make an article? Yeah, we'll take this bit by bit, because living educational theory research is something I think you learn by doing. And that question as to how you feel more comfortable is something that evolves. So it starting by actually talking in pairs so that you can feel comfortable in that situation, starting to tell somebody about your context, what it is that drives and motivates you as an educator. And as we start to move the research forward, the account forward, that becomes more public, but in a way that you're in control of, so you can feel more comfortable about what you're saying at in different stages and with different people. Does that answer the question? Please come back to us and say, no, I don't understand. Anything else before we put you into groups?
Could I just mention that this idea of becoming more comfortable, I tell you why this is difficult. As part of this process, you will not be comfortable. That's part of this process. You will be uncomfortable because we are all, I think, living contradictions in that we've all got passionate values that we hold, but in our practice, we often don't live those fully. And that makes us feel uncomfortable. So part of the courage of doing this research is recognizing that and living with it and then working to improve your practice. So I like the question about becoming more comfortable, but it starts. We honestly, for years, I continue to feel uncomfortable because I'm not living my values as fully as I can. Okay, but thank you for that comment. That's really helpful.
And please keep bringing them back, because you can see even between, and I've worked with Jack for a very long time, that we actually interpret things slightly differently. So we give different views as to, feeling comfortable about saying something, for me, of actually being seen, which isn't something Jack is uncomfortable with, but actually I'm also very uncomfortable with is seeing what it is that I'm doing and whether or not I'm doing what I think I'm doing. And that can be really uncomfortable, really challenging. So there's different interpretations. So please do keep saying, are we okay? We put you into pairs and you can 5 minutes each to just say what it is, explain to the other person your context. And as a listener, you need to help your partner. So it's not just a case of sitting there mutely. It's if they say something and you're not quite sure, it's actually saying, oh, could you say a bit more about that? I don't know about that. Because I'm assuming that most of you don't know one another very well. And then going on to saying what it is that really is motivating you. And again, a bit of active listening, that helping your partner actually say a little bit more, because sometimes somebody else can see something or hear something that the speaker doesn't hear themselves. Okay, there's no right or wrong, just give it a go. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so if could you put people, Alan, could you pick people into pairs, and 10 minutes time you'll be brought back. So please, you take both responsibilities, that you have 5 minutes as the listener, 5 minutes as the active listener, and the 5 minutes as the speaker, as an active speaker. Okay. So I'm hoping that you'll all suddenly disappear into your rooms.
I think Eileen lost connection. Perhaps Pak Mangara can help with the breakout room setting.
I'll create 48 breakout rooms.
Or can you make me become the co-host, one of the co-hosts, Pak Mangara?
Okay, wait a minute, please.
How many person in a breakout room, Mary?
Two. We want in pair.
Oh, in pair, okay.
Wait, I can't make you as a co-host.
Yuli can do that as
Yeah,
a
Mbak
host.
Yuli maybe. I'll just create the.
Sorry, Nani.
record.
I already assigned you as a host.
Yeah, that's all right.
I already assigned you as a host.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really sorry. The internet connection is so bad.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I already add you as a.
How many breakout room do we need, Pak Mangara?
44. So apart from host and co-host, we have 88 participants. So 44, I think.
44, all right.
Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu masuk ke breakout room-nya sudah secara otomatis di setting. Beberapa partisipan sudah masuk ke breakout room-nya. Silakan Bapak Ibu.
Is it appear already, Pak Mangara, the breakout rooms?
Yeah.
Right.
Some people are already in the room.
Okay.
Yeah, and counting.
So we set up the breakout room automatically. You
Yes.
can join the breakout room based on the invitation. Please, the participants.
Please pardon me for away from the keyboard for a moment.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I just left from the meeting Zoom and I cannot find the breakout room. So where should I go? Miss or
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Pak Manga, you are the host now. Pak Mangara.
Sorry, Mbak.
Yeah, you are the host now, Pak. Would you
I'll transfer the host to you, please. Is it
no,
okay?
no, just make me the co-host, then I will help.
Okay.
Kayaknya juga keluar ininya ya. Apa? Break room-nya ya.
Mbak Neni, can you go to room 5? There is someone who asked for help.
Yeah.
Breakout room-nya di mana ya?
Oh, Pak Yogi, sebentar
Yeah.
Pak. Mbak Neni, kalau kita nambahkan breakout room,
Iya Pak, aku belum punya akses. Jadiin co-host dulu.
Tapi keluar tadi.
sorry, Mbaknya sudah host ya.
Oke, thank you Pak.
Oh, is Milton here?
I still cannot find the breakout room.
Ya, bentar Bu ya, Mbak Neni lagi mau coba setting.
Okay.
Halo, Mr. Mangratua. Uh,
Ya, Bapak.
yeah, I already joined the breakout rooms 3, but my partner doesn't give any responses. And start if my partner doesn't talk at all. Does it any change for me to get other partners so I can start the discussion?
Okay, Mbak Neni, can you assign somebody else into the room number 3, please? Somebody here in the main room, and maybe you can also add them to another room.
Can you invite me too?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mangratua and Alin or Mbak Neni. I will.
Iya, wait a minute.
break.
Ini ano po?
Thank you, Mr. Azam.
Mr. Azam in room 3 ya.
Yes.
Ya, Mbak.
I had the same case.
Mbak Neni, saya jadikan co-host.
Iya, ini internetnya lagi. Ya, susah banget ininya.
Saya juga.
Sebentar Bapak Ibu ya, tadi breakout room-nya sudah fix jumlahnya, jadi Bapak Ibu akan ditempatkan ke breakout room yang sudah tersedia.
Silakan Mbak Claudia di breakout room 3 sudah terbaca belum? Boleh Kak.
Excuse me, Miss, you call me Mbak Claudia.
Jack, when should ask people to come back?
I thought I thought it was automatic after 10 minutes, but I may be wrong.
Jadi saya sudah gabung, tapi teman saya keluar.
Di breakout room berapa Ibu?
15.
15.
Mbak, saya juga dari tadi belum masuk room ya.
Ya, sebentar.
Izin panitia boleh dijoinkan ke room yang lain karena di room 14 ternyata partner saya sedang kuliah juga, jadi ada dia double mengikuti kegiatan, jadi nggak bisa diskusi. Sudah
Iya.
gitu.
Ya maaf, ini soalnya lagi terkendala jaringan juga. Susah rasanya.
Atau peserta bisa assign sendiri nggak? Yang penting dia berdua gitu.
Di sini nggak ada itunya, Bu. Nggak ada
Bisa. Tadi kita pakai otomatis Bu Suspe.
nggak ada breakout room-nya di sini.
Izin panitia di ruangan tuh hanya ada aku sendiri, room 34.
Jack and Mary, do you want us to put them to another break room or just invite those who are in the break room already to the main room?
Please, yes, we're now ready
Yeah.
to. Yes, that would be good.
Mbak Neni, sepertinya kita panggil kembali aja ke main room-nya, Mbak.
Is everybody back? Mangantua?
It's ongoing.
Not yet, Jack.
Not yet. Okay, that's all right. Good.
Mbak Neni, breakout room-nya di close saja, biar otomatis kembali ke main room.
I think there's a way that you can automatically close all the rooms.
Yeah, that's what I asked Neni to do, Mary. But it seems that she's also have a problem with the network.
Let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
No, I don't think I've got permissions to.
So it's supposed to be the host.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says Marie, you're now the host. Yeah.
Okay, so this, all the rooms should be, have been, okay, so everyone should be back.
Pak, aduh sinyal aku jadiin Mary hostnya Pak. Pak Isa Pak. Pak Isa.
I think it's just only 5 minutes in the breakout room. So we don't finish discussion yet with our part.
Okay, so because we had some difficulties getting people into rooms. Some people had sort of more than 10 minutes and some people had less than 10 minutes. But if you would bear with us, so this is a conversation that you can continue. So you've had a start to one. Today, I think the best we can do is to give you a feel for things. So then afterwards, you can pick it up with the sort of conversation you can have in pairs later. And then you can have more time. So this is just a start. So is everybody back now? Margaruta, I'm sorry, Margaruta.
Mangara, you can call him Mangara.
Mangara, thank you.
All the breakout room just closed, so everyone can come back. To the
Everybody's back.
Already in the main room.
Okay.
Great. Okay, Jack.
Yeah, could you put up the homepage? Because I want to go directly into the living posters, because the focus on you explaining to someone about your context and about the values you hold. Now, I love Rini's question about becoming more comfortable with actually writing a paper, because this will sound strange, but I want you to become literally more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because we should all be feeling a little uncomfortable about the fact the world is not as we would wish it to be, that whatever we're working at, we can actually, I think, work to improve it. And this sharing together, you've got an amazing possibility within Indonesia of generating this transformative educational research network through making public your knowledge of what you're doing as educators and educational researchers, and generating knowledge which you actually share. And I want to show you now, in terms of the living posters, you can go into actionresearch.net. On the right, you can see the Living Theory Posters homepage there. Now, if you click on that, you go into an international group of amazing researchers like ourselves, who are all willing to share their experiences of how they are trying to transform their own context, but not only that, to actually contribute to a global knowledge base, just as everybody that will be going to the 4th International Conference will be actually contributing to that transformation. Now, what I want to encourage you to see is that at the moment, in terms of this homepage, you've got researchers like ourselves, for example, from Durban University of Technology. If you go into there in South Africa, you'll find that you've got a number of different individuals who are all doing what we're doing, which is try to improve our practice. But not only that, to actually research what we're doing and make it public. And that group is actually being led by Nalini Chitrand, who went to the international conference in Nepal to do with transformative education. So Nalini is taking those ideas and in this context supporting the development of the living posters, and then going on to actually produce more detailed papers that can be produced at the conference. Now, not only Nalini, but also from Nepal, you've got Parbati Danganan. You've also got from India, Swarup Rawal. And Swarup has been very active indeed in generating an Indian research network who is committed to developing living educational theories. So these are all individuals that you can access their living posters from literally all over the world. Nima is there. You can actually have a look at what she's doing to create a happy school. But these are your first, if you like, public communications about your context and the values that you hold as you try to improve your practice. Now, at the moment, with the homepage, there is no homepage from the Indonesian Transformative Education Research Network. And this is what I want to communicate should be one of our priorities, that one of the first things that you could do is to actually generate your own living poster, and you'll see literally how easy it is to communicate something of what you are doing. But many of us initially feel discomfort about putting our own eye at the heart of our accounts and our research. And so we put there where the cursor is showing how to create and share your living poster. And what our aim should be over the next perhaps 2 or 3 weeks is to create an Indonesian, literally transformative research homepage with as many of you as possible putting and sending to us your own living posters. So that's the very first thing. And look at all the around the world of the groups that have actually communicated. And at the moment, you've got a wonderful group of researchers that have been brought together to actually support the Transformative Education Research Network. And you've all got this embodied knowledge, the passion to try to improve education. And so how to create and share your living poster, those are the details there of guidelines. You don't need to follow those just as it's a template. You can actually use your imagination to create your own living poster. And you'll see the descriptions there about how you can do it. That a living poster is intended as an opportunity for you to actually share the details of your context, your practice, your interests, particular the values that motivate you. Give your life meaning in person in your professional practice. Okay, now that's again really important now that you see how important it is to move from the conversations, because those are going to become increasingly important as we work together to share not only your living posters, but actually to move on to create a paper for 12 months' time. And it takes this length of time to generate a systematic and disciplined paper that could actually be presented at your international conference and perhaps put in for publication. So could I just check in terms of the people present and the chat, Marie, are there any more questions in terms of the chat? Because the chat facility, we can save it and we can make sure that we've come back to answer any of your questions. But I love that one from Rini about becoming more comfortable about writing a paper. And what I'm doing is to try to encourage you to face feeling uncomfortable, because it's only from that that you actually get in touch with what really matters to you. Because in all of our contexts, we want to improve something which is not at the moment as good as it could be. Okay, so that's where I'd like now to move on from the living posters as a priority for everybody to work on. And I now want to go on to the Educational Journal of Living Theories. Unless, Marie, you've got something you want to add.
Can we just pause for a moment and just check with you? Because in creating your living poster, and it's not an academic poster, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just whatever it is that, however you want to present it at the moment. It's not complicated, but it is a start on what it is that you're wanting to develop. A presentation under the basis of a paper to submit to a journal on your living educational theory. So you can see if you go around them, and as you click on each of these, for instance, if we go into the Indian one, Swaroop, who's been she did a keynote at the last conference in Nepal. You can see, and she's done a number, so nothing's lost. You send us and say, oh, I've got a more up-to-date one now that gives us a snapshot. Then we can put a link back to the ones that you've had before. So you can see how your practice and your understanding of your practice, understanding the values that are emerging through your research, and clarify, actually start to develop. So it's helpful to you as well, both to get you going, and also that by collecting these over time, it's like you'd use data in a research journal. So you can use that for many different purposes. So I just want to give you a feel that there is no right and there's no wrong. So these are some of Swaroop's students, and you can go into each one of these and see that this person has done it in a very different one. Okay. So that's where your conversation, if you like, moves on to. So what you're having a conversation in pairs, you want to then continue that conversation after this session and help each other say, okay, what is it that I want to share about the context I'm in, the context of my practice, what's really important to me in my practice, And also it's an opportunity to put on so people know, and you look again at what you've done before, because this doesn't happen in a vacuum. So you put, for instance, a link to if you've written any papers for those, if you've been engaged in other programs, such as a master's program, this is some of you've been involved in, then you can put that on. If you've been involved in a doctoral program and you've got a title of your doctorate, even if you can't make that, then you can actually put the title of it, which will help them. So you've got, Marie, perhaps you can, okay, let me see. I want to ask what I've done, still work on and haven't been released yet as an article or paper. Does it still be worth being material of my living poster? Jack, do you want to answer that or do you want me to?
You answer, yeah.
Okay. Yes, what you put on your living poster, certainly. If you might want to say, look, this is the title of an article that I'm working on at the moment, and that gives other people an insight into what your research passion is, what it is that the rich terrain, the rich, because you're not just one little bit, there's various parts of you that are actually coming together. So yes, please put on your, whatever it is that you're prepared to share with somebody else. Just think, if you're standing in a queue, if you're physically in a room and you're waiting for coffee or whatever, and you're having a chat with the person next to you, what sort of things would you find useful and interesting to know about them? And it also reminds them what it is that they've actually been doing. Please do put on whatever you're, and sometimes you haven't actually got as far as submitting a paper. It might be, well, this is the sort of thing that's interesting me at the moment. You've got, can I demonstrate one example of transforming someone's living educational theory poster into an educational paper so you can learn from that? Yes. If you have a look at going to Durban University and the work that Nalini has been doing, and if you go into, she's used the living posters as a way of getting people into developing their living educational theory research. And then they've made presentations. So if you go into there, you can click on them and you'll see here that if you click on any of these, you'll have the poster and the presentation that they made to at the end of the sessions that she's running at that time. So have a look at that. And now she's running a second group as well. So you can see what different people have done it. I'm glad you're feeling more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. So, okay, so if we're all right to go, then we'll go on to Jack. I'll bring up living at
yeah, just a moment. It's just that we've got a query. What is the distinction between transformative education
okay, thank you.
living educational theory?
Yeah.
Now, the relationship is this, that if you talk about transformative education, now, unfortunately, things can be transformed in negative ways. So transformative education can be both something positive and something negative. And it's really important, this idea of transformative education. What living educational theory adds to the actual idea of transformative education is for an individual like yourselves to actually produce a valid evidence-based explanation of your educational influences as you work to transform a particular context or individuals with your values of human flourishing. It just adds, living educational theory adds a focus on your own professional development with those values. But these are really good questions, and we'll be able to answer them more fully as the weeks go on. Now, if we've got anything else there, we've got the point there. I want to ask, what I've done was, this is from Azam, haven't been released yet as an article or paper. Does it still worth putting in the material of my living poster? And the answer is very much so, because your living poster allows you to introduce yourself and what you have been doing through your commitment to education. So it would be really good to bring in other things that mattered to you in terms of your history, what you've been doing, so that people get an understanding of who you are and what you've been doing. Okay, Marie, shall we go on to the, excuse me, the point now about the moving on from a living poster and into the Educational Journal Living Theories, which have got a very good answer to the question, well, how might you frame a paper? It's not a template, but it gives you some idea. If you go into, on my website, you'll see at the top, there's the access there, current issue of Educational Journal of Living Theories. So if you click on that, and you then go on to, on the right, you can see under the papers, advice for authors. So there. Yeah, and you've also got, okay, if you click on advice for authors, and you go down that page to a suggested structure for living educational theory research papers, you'll see there what we think is a very clear advice about a framing. It's not a template that's imposed on you, because each individual has their own unique constellation of values. Each individual person in the room now can, and we do this ourselves, produce your own unique explanation of your educational influence. Other people can use insights from what you've done, but it's not a traditional theory where you impose it on everybody. It's a form of understanding where individuals can draw insights from your work and your living theory in developing their own. And this is really important. It goes back to something in critical theory that was influenced by the early writings of Karl Marx, where he said, look, what is it to produce something as a human being? And he said, we are twice affirmed. In producing, for example, our own living educational theory, we affirm ourselves because we're showing what it is to live our values more fully. We're explaining something and making it public. And then he says, we are twice affirmed because if someone else uses what it is that we have produced, like you may use somebody's paper in the Educational Journal of Living Theories, you might use someone else's living poster. You are actually affirming the person who actually produced that in the first place. So that's why we are twice affirmed in actually generating our own living theories and sharing them. Just on the chat, we've got Alan asking, please kindly fill the attendance list on the following link. Again, please do that, because it will give us the opportunity of actually seeing who is there, who is coming to the attendance, enabling us to actually retain a correspondence with you. And over time now, making sure that we understand what you are doing as we share your living posters. Now, the question from Sahala, is living educational a new theory? It's the first time to hear it since my background is not education. Now, I started this movement in the 1980s because I wanted a form of theory that actually was not imposing a general theory on individuals. And I coined that idea that each individual can generate your own living educational theory. Now, it's been going since the 1980s. And on Tuesday of this week, I was at our BERA conference with Marie making a presentation. And I left to go to the University of Worcester to collect the award of what is called the D.Litt degree, because of all the work I've been doing on living educational theory. So it's not new, but each one of you can generate your own living educational theory, and that would be an original contribution to the Transformative Educational Research Network. So what is actually new, I think, to everybody here, because you will have been influenced by critical theory, you will have been influenced by traditional disciplines of knowledge. What I think will be new for you is the idea that you can generate your own valid explanation of your educational influence in your own learning and the learning of others that can count as an original contribution to knowledge. So that again is a really important question. And the fact, as you say, this is the first time you have heard of it in 2023. Again, please access the Educational Journal of Living Theories. Please access the website so that you can just see, and you will be over 333,490 people have accessed this. And it says here from Milton, the same with transformative education as values, ethics, and culture are very important. So in consideration achieving desired transformation. Can you say that living educational theory as epistemology or a worldview? And this is again a really crucial question. But Marie and I are just producing for Routledge an academic monograph on living educational theory as an epistemology. So this is a really important question. That the idea of living educational theory is very much as an epistemology, and it has got a worldview. It assumes that everybody here can see themselves as a global educator, that you're all engaged in educational research as global citizens. And the fact that we've got a new knowledge base, which can help to emerge from Indonesia with your cultural backgrounds and influences, with your unique constellation of values, actually is part of development of a new epistemology. It goes back to what Schoen asked in 1995. He said, we need a new epistemology for the new scholarship of teaching and learning. So please bear that in mind. That's a great question, again, from Milton.
Can I just add to that? Sometimes it gets confused. Living educational theory research is a form of professional practitioner educational research. So it's a value, whether you're in education, whether you're working as a social worker. You'll see that many of the students on the Indian group are social work students. They're not in education, as we would say about teaching children or adults. If you have a look on the left-hand side of Jack's website, you can find that you go down, you find living thesis, doctor educators. So if you go down here, you actually start to see that actually most of the doctorates are not by people who would be seen as professional educators, but they are professional practitioners. And with a view of a professional practitioner has a responsibility as a global citizen to actually contribute to not only their own flourishing, the flourishing of those around them, but also to the flourishing of humanity. So in that sense, it is educational research. Educational is, if it's educational, it's about change in the direction of the values. Education is more than schooling. I love the phrase that education is a lifelong, life-wide process of learning to live a life that is satisfying, but also productive and worthwhile, and contributes to your own flourishing and the flourishing of others and the flourishing of humanity. So that is what it is to be a professional, irrespective of the field within which you practice. So if you have a look down, you'll see that, for instance, that Michael Russell is within software engineering. Likewise, John Branch is in engineering. You got Ariana is into international professional international development. Myrna is works in education, and she's been developing through art education. Chris was in education. Elizabeth was in education. Anne, this one was in Utrecht University. I'm talking about in search of oh, you search it.
Cosmopolitanism.
Thank you. In higher education. I have troubles pronouncing English. So you can see why I have problems pronouncing in other languages. Go down, you can see Sadruddin, who's in education, who is considering how to transform teacher education in Pakistan, as well as just within a small area. So have a look down and you'll see that people have been into all sorts of fields of practice, but realizing their responsibilities as professional practitioners with that, the values, and helping others to do so too. Okay, Jack.
That's great. No, could I just, because we've only got a few minutes left, could I please direct people to what Yuli has just posted about the WhatsApp group? This is in the chat, and I'm hoping, Marie, you can save the chat. I can't, but it's just that please look there, what Yuli's posted. Please join us if you're interested in the WhatsApp group. So that's one thing which seems to me to be really important. But the other one is this attendance list that, again, Alan has posted and other people have. It says, please kind of fill in the attendance list in the following link. Now, I can't emphasize how important that is, because it helps us to sustain a communication with everybody. And we intend to do this over the next 12 months before the 4th conference, the international conference, so that we can really work together to actually help each other to improve our practice and to research that and make public our knowledge base. Okay, so it's that WhatsApp group and then the actual attendance list, really important. Okay, now we're coming to the end of our hour-and-a-half session. Is there anything else that people just want to ask? Mary, can you follow that in the chat? I can't, yeah.
No, nobody else has put anything yet.
Okay.
Oh, just unmute and say it.
Okay, shall we come out of the web page? But I think we've focused on what we want to do. Your living poster is the priority. This allows you to introduce yourself, show something about your context and your values, and place your eye at the heart of what we're now interested in, which is your educational influence. It's your living educational theory, which is contributing to transformative education research and practice. So that's really vital to get your living poster. And then we'll work with you over the next 12 months, and we're doing this ourselves, to actually generate the papers which are, for example, to present at the international conferences and also to get published and get the Indonesian Transformative Education Research Network actually recognized. Okay.
So if you send your living poster, I'll put it in the chat, to jack@livingtheory.org, then we can start to create for people who are leading, who is Yuli, Neni, Mangara, Susie, Alan and February, who will be working with you on the next stage. We'll be working with them to actually help you move this on. So from your living poster, then we'll be able to get a feel for what sort of questions can we start to put to you to help you move on to developing your proposal, your presentation, and into creating a paper to both present and publish subsequently. Okay, so there's no, I want to stress this, yeah, as Jack says, we want you to feel comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. It is not a competition. There is no right or wrong. There is no best or worst living poster. There are no criteria except what it is that you give to it, okay? And for the most part, people are far harsher on themselves than other people would just be excited no matter how you actually present it, okay? And this is ongoing, but this gets you started on creating your living educational theory research to actually present in 2024 and creating your paper. And in the process, you'll help each other as well as yourself. Is that? Oh, great. So somebody already said that you'll try to send yours as soon as possible and get more guidance to share my thoughts. So please do see if you can connect with somebody here or find a partner back at wherever you're situated and talk to them for, say, oh, we've got a cup of coffee, let's have 5 minutes. I just want to tell you about what it is. Can you actually help me be clearer? What should I put on about my context? Okay. And if you have a look at what we've got in the framing of how to structure a paper, this will be very familiar to you if you've written a paper before. But what we're saying is you can use this, and rather than it structuring how you research, this is saying, oh, okay, I can fill in this bit at the moment. Oh, I'm not very clear about that. I'll work on that bit. And then when you've got that all together, then you've got all the basis for your paper, which won't worry about that, but that'll take your thinking forward. Okay. So start with wherever you are. Okay. And if it's, I can use now living posters. How can I actually help people understand, and myself, the context of my practice? Because that's always interesting. If you can help somebody, okay, can you tell me a bit more? And they start to hear themselves more in that conversation. Okay, so Jack always tells me I use too many words, so I'll shut up.
No.
And so is there anything else that we can reassure? And whatever you can do within an hour is good enough. All right. Perfect, never finished. It's no good. Good enough done is what is needed.
Something, Mary?
Yeah.
Perhaps we can ask one of the participants to share what they already discussed in their chat room, or breakout room, so we can make an example how to generate the ideas of living theory from their discussion. Can we invite one of participants to share?
You might sometimes ask from those conversations about the values that has anybody does any value resonate with you in terms of what you heard in the conversation that people might be trying to live more fully, so that the context needs improving? And that often helps people to understand what is going on in the different contexts.
Yeah,
so may
we invite one of participants to share what they already discussed, and then lead them to the living theory then.
Yeah.
Bapak Ibu mungkin ada yang mau share hasil diskusi ya. Pak Azam will share something then.
Okay.
So please, Pak Azam.
Thank you, Miss Nani. Hello, Barry and Jack. In my breakout room, we don't start the discussion yet. It just one story from my partner Claudia. She talks about how she wants to be some great teacher figure for this education environment in Indonesia. She thinks that in Indonesia we have bad habits and bad environment for our education. She said that she found that in Indonesia we really expected too much to our students, and we expected too much, and we push them over their what, how to say? Claudia, maybe you can explain it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Claudia. Hi, Ma'am Mary and Jack.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Claudia, and I used to discuss with Azam in the breaking room. So it's about we talk about why you still interest and attach in education. So yeah, here I am. I shared what I felt to him. First of all, I used to be a preschool teacher. I used to be a kindergarten teacher for almost 2 years, and it was amazing experience, because that was my very first experience to be a preschool teacher, dealt with young children, especially before I used to fast with teenagers as a school counselor, and then it's got me a bit stressful in the beginning because I have to face this early childhood, which my first class, I used to be an assistant teacher for 2 years old class, and then I become a main teacher in the class 3 and 4 years old. And that was very amazing how I looked at them. They such have a very, very, very amazing kids where they start to ask why, and from those that I realized that this early childhood, this tiny human being, they don't know anything about this world. So I have to because I try to put myself to their shoes, how I see the world in the gray way, because I'm sure they see this world very great because and they don't know anything. This is very interesting story when one of them always complaining, and it got me very anxious because miss he hurt me, they hurt me, oh, he bothering me. And then I asked them what they done to you. He hurt me. Which one? What he done to you? And all I can see, it's not totally hurting because because he just passed, and his shoulder touched her. That's obviously not a hurting behavior. So I have a discuss with them in the class. So I explore their knowledge, how long they know about the hurting and bothering behavior without I edit my opinion. I just want to hurt their opinion, how long they understand about it. And yeah, they understand, but the action they don't know the action about the hurting or bothering. They just know it's they just imagine the behavior. So, and then I decided to resign, quit my job in the kindergarten, because I think I'm done. I got so many positive where I grown, and now I start to deal with teenagers, because what I'm doing now, it's related, and I think it's very, very useful to teenager. And that's why I found myself and my passion in education, because I have vision and I have mission to I never expect my students to like me, because that's my job. I want to make them better. So this is I see so many issues in a teenager, and I think I should take my part to help them, because I believe everyone is good. I believe everyone have great potential. What makes them worse, it is because their environment, even though they parents. So that's why I have discussed to Azam why I want to be a teacher, why I really passionate and very serious in education. That's because I want to help my student, this people, to find their potential. And also before that, as I mentioned, this is what I value this value to be a teacher for myself. I have to be more compassionate, so I can see the student in different way. So I can put my heart into, and also I don't put high expectation. Doesn't mean I underestimate them, because it is a learning process, so it takes time. I cannot expect they change that fast. So yeah, I don't put high expectation, and doesn't mean I underestimate them. It's because I know what they have been through. It's a lot of process and it's a long journey, so they needs more time. So yeah, that's what really I value, and I'm so interested in education. So yeah, that's what
Can
can
I put back to you, Claudia, and see if I've understood that your passion to make a difference as a professional practitioner is how, talking from you, and tell me if I've got it wrong, is how can I make a difference to this young person learning to be the best they can be, contributing to their own lives and contributing to the lives of other people? Is that, in a nugget, what it is that's really driving you to now in your different professional contexts? And now you're wanting to see if you can do that with teenagers. How can you actually help them realize what it is that they can be the very best? What is it to be that, and contributing to their own flourishing and the flourishing of others? Is that seems to be at the core. If you put that on your poster, when Jack says, what are your values? It's a simple, it sounds so simple. But if you put that as to what's driving you, what's important, what are the moments that give you the most pleasure in your work, that makes you feel, yeah, actually, this is what it is that I'm about. Put that on your poster, and we can take that forward with further questions to help you clarify that further. Sorry,
great.
Jack.
No, I'm sorry. It's just that I've got another workshop in Ireland, and I just must leave you. But I just want to say thank you, because I've really enjoyed meeting you all and actually participating. And I hope to see you again. But I must leave, so I'm just saying goodbye. Yes, bye-bye then.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Before I go, can I just ask Yuli and Lenny, Ranga, Susie, Hedri, if there's anything else that you'd like from Jack and me at the moment?
It's nice to hear your story, Claudia.
Sorry, the sound's breaking up.
Yeah. Okay. I want to add something, Mary. So, Bapak Ibu,
I think you Miri is trying to say something, but she needs to unmute.
yeah. Okay, I want to add something, Mary. Bapak Ibu, a transformation will be possible if we have an awareness. So this living theory is one of approaches that can help us to raise our awareness about what values that we have that drives our practice in our individual or in our professional life. So it may raise our understanding about ourselves, what we believe, and what we want in the future. So if you would like to try and maybe you missed something in the explanation before, I want to share again the page that have been shown by Mary and Jack. You can go to this website, actionresearch.net, and then go to the right side. There is Living Theory Posters homepage. Click that link, and then it will lead you to the living poster. And then you can click the link down there, how to create and share. You will have introduction and a guiding how to create your own living posters. Hopefully, by doing this, you can create your own living poster and help you to raise the awareness and bring you to the door, to the gate of transformations. That's what I want to add, Mary. Thank you.
A lovely way of putting it. Oh, that'd be splendid.
Nice conclusion.
I'll leave it to you to decide when to finish, how you want to finish. And we've got a conversation we continue with the organising group. Who will be
Yeah, can I
supporting
add something in Indonesian, Mary? Excuse us.
Sure. Sure.
Can I add something to Indonesian into Indonesian language?
Please.
Ya Bapak Ibu, jadi tadi seperti contoh yang diberikan oleh Bu Claudia, cerita-cerita tentang passion kita dalam mengajar, letupan-letupan memori yang membuat kita tidak berhenti untuk menjadi pendidik. Dari situ kita bisa menyarikan gitu ya, atau membuat saripati dari teori-teori, dari nilai-nilai yang kita percaya berperan di dalam proses kita mendidik tersebut begitu. Seperti tadi Bu Claudia ingin memberikan perubahan kepada society melalui tangan-tangan para generasi muda. Nah, itu bisa nanti dikembangkan lagi di dalam poster Living Educational Theory ini. Jadi saya yakin setiap Bapak Ibu juga memiliki nilai-nilai yang tersendiri gitu ya, bervariasi, dan kesuksesan-kesuksesan dalam mengajar yang membuat Bapak Ibu merasa inilah titik balik kenapa saya tetap menjadi pendidik gitu. Nah, itu yang nanti dituangkan ke dalam poster tersebut, dan dalam coaching klinik berikutnya kami akan membantu Bapak Ibu untuk membangun artikel dari poster-poster yang sudah Bapak Ibu buat nanti begitu. Kurang lebih begitu Pak Mangara?
Ya, Mbak Alin mungkin bisa di ini ya.
So thank you, Jack and Mary, for lending us your time to share your expertise in the living educational theory to us. Participants for staying throughout the workshop today. And before we end up our workshop today, please, I kindly ask you to turn on your camera because we need to capture our moments today. Background. And so we have 3 pages, so be ready. I will do screenshot in a while. So for the first page, please stand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the second page. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the last page. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. All right, thank you everyone, and that's a wrap. And thank you so much for staying throughout the session. Some of the participants also asking me whether I can share the recording or not, and I will do share with you, and I will upload it to in the Transformative Education Research Group Indonesia YouTube channel. So don't forget to check it out, and please kindly waiting for the update. I hope that you have gained a lot of insight from our wonderful speakers today, and we will share the following information about the next agenda of the paper writing coaching and WhatsApp group. So please join if you are interested with it. So thank you, and I will end the session with wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, you've given me a real treat today. It's
Thank
fantastic.
you, Mary. See you again.
So looking forward to learning more about Indonesians, your work, and where we can actually connect with the world. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much,
Looking
Mary.
forward.
Looking forward to meeting you again.
See you again.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak O.
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu
Terima kasih
semuanya.
Bapak Ibu.
Terima kasih.
Thank you Mbak Alin, Pak Mangara,
Pak
Prof.
Mangara.
Yuli.
Ya Pak, silakan, makasih Pak.
Oke, terima kasih Pak. Selanjutnya. Really Pak ya.
Thank you.
Mari Pak, silakan Pak. Mbak Yuli, do you want to discuss about next plan with Mary and Jack? By the way, do you have more time, Mary, or do you have to leave?
I'll have to go soon, but We've got a meeting with Yuli and yourself and Nenny, Susie, and
Yeah, on the 22nd.
Second,
The
Mary.
22nd.
See you again next time.
Okay.
Perhaps
So-
we can discuss by
Yeah.
ourselves. But Aline, can you
So-
stop the recording, please? I'm just streaming.
Yes.
So
Thank you
by
so
then
much, Mary. I'm really sorry what yeah.
no, and it's been fascinating as to
Yeah.
every time technology
Yeah.
is both useful and it bites you.
Yeah, sorry for
Yes,
that.
the
See you next
technology
week.
things.
It's all a learning curve.